This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is Labor Day, September 2nd, 2024. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. Kevin Tucker, what is going on, man?
I keep forgetting that Labor Day is a thing. Obviously, we're recording this Sunday night about 8:34, and I just keep forgetting tomorrow's a holiday, no work, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely excited about that. Excited for the week ahead, and excited to chat a wide variety of Magic topics that we have today.
Yeah, a little smorgasbord, a little, Orlando Magic all-you-can-eat buffet. Maybe not all-you-can-eat buffet, because you would think that, you have a lot of things to choose from. Right now, it's just like one of my parents used to tell me, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. That's where we're at, Orlando Magic content wise. But really quickly, a cool thing, something happened to me that was pretty cool from the podcast. So obviously we've been awarded just so many incredible privileges over the years covering this team when it comes to like talking to players and having experiences and being able to be a part of different things. But very rarely do we benefit like personally outside of that kind of stuff. So long story short, a few weeks ago, I talked on here about I was playing at Cabot, that awesome new course that opened up at my house, and I didn't play well at all. So it was this weird experience of I was really having a great time at this incredible, beautiful golf course that was so much fun, but also really frustrated because I didn't play well. And I get to my car and I see that I have a message request on Instagram, on my personal Instagram, and I open it and it's from a listener of the show who is a PGA professional, and he is the director of instruction at this beautiful private course in the area that I live in. He said, "Hey, I love what you guys do. As like a thank you for everything that you guys do, I would love to give you a lesson." So I was able to do that the other day. Went to this beautiful private course. I want to give a shout out to my friend Brian Mulvin, listener of the show. You can follow him at MPA Golf on Instagram. And he is the director of instruction at the Southern Hills Plantation Club in Brooksville. So if you're in the Brooksville area, even if you're in Orlando, you're only about like an hour and a half away. If you're looking for a new, swing instructor, like golf instructor, whatever, I guess we would call Brian. Hit Brian up. Incredible, like really awesome to work with. I've only had a couple of lessons with different individuals, but this was by far and away like the best experience that I had. He didn't ask me to do this to come on here and shout him out. I hope it's okay. I didn't even ask him that I do this, so I hope it's fine. But no, like I just really, really appreciate the lesson. I'll definitely be going back to him. I feel like I've been getting worse at golf instead of the more that you play, you would hope that you would get better. But I told somebody today, I was like, if whatever happens with this pod, if that's the only thing that comes out of it, I'll be pretty happy as long as I can, start shooting, in the 90s and 80s eventually. But just want to give Brian a shout out. That was pretty cool.
What day was that lesson, Jonathan?
It was yesterday. It was Saturday.
Yes, it was Saturday?
It was Saturday.
So you were just like, whipping up on some golf balls, right? Just whacking them. Just,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if that was like a similar experience to the University of Florida on Saturday. They were just getting whacked, getting shellacked at home. I don't know. Look, my team got dragged through the mud last week because we're the only decent team that played at week 0. So now I got to drag the other teams through the mud. So anyway, yeah.
So how did you feel about Miami after the game? Like their players trying to talk to some of the Florida recruits that were in attendance. How did you feel about that? I know
the deal.
Pretty impassioned.
Here's the deal. Those guys are clowns, man. Those guys are absolute clowns. They haven't done anything. Miami hasn't done anything in 20 years. And every year they run their mouths, and every year it ends in disappointment for them. And so if this is the year that doesn't end in disappointment, great, congrats. But you haven't done anything. You beat a probably going to be a bad Florida team. All right, that's all you've done. And yet there they are, run their mouths, their fan base run their mouths. Again, if you earn that, you can talk all you want. The early 2000s Miami teams, they were crazy. They talked a lot and they deserved it. They earned it. But Miami hasn't done anything in 20 years. Okay, come talk to me. Come talk that talk after you do something, okay? Obviously, jury's still out. Miami looked great. Cam Ward looked great. We'll see. But yeah, they're a bunch of clowns. They're just big mouth clowns, and I can't stand them.
Like you were telling me they haven't even won the ACC in whoever knows how long.
No, they've never won the ACC. They have never won the ACC. They've been in it for 20 years, 21, whatever it's been, 19 years. I don't remember. But they've been to one conference championship, and they lost that conference championship by like 50 or 40 or something crazy like that. They're terrible. They haven't done anything since the early 2000s, okay? So they can stop it. And again, maybe this is the year that's different. Maybe it is, but it hasn't been. And until it is, they got to prove it.
Hey, my friend Brian Mulvin, he went to FSU. You'll probably like that about him. I had to bring this back around.
Love that. Of course, Florida State might lose tonight as you guys are listening to this to Boston College. Who knows? We'll see, but whatever. I don't care. It's fine.
rough few days for Kevin Tucker here. Moving on here. Dwight Howard, and listen, I know we just told you all don't listen to Gilbert Arenas and don't listen to that podcast.
You still shouldn't, by the way.
You still shouldn't listen. Right. But when there like little sound bites come out, of positive stuff, I guess it's okay to listen to. So I didn't see this on social media. I was on Hoops Hype earlier today, and I saw this quote from Dwight Howard. I guess he was on the Gil's Arena or whatever the heck it's called. Talking about being traded to the Lakers, and what he said was that he didn't want to go to the Lakers, and this is his quote. He said, "I wanted to beat the Lakers. They had just beat us in the final, so in my mind, I'm like, why would I want to go to the team that just beat us? I wanted to go to Brooklyn and just start my whole career over, but I got sent to LA." Howard said, "It didn't work out, and I made an emotional decision to leave. I didn't really make a smart, logical decision. I just made an emotional decision at the time." Talking about leaving Orlando, that he didn't make a smart, logical decision, that it was an emotional decision to leave Orlando. And I know that we've never really got the full apology. Like we got a as close as I think we're gonna get. Like if we were putting like his apology on like a scale of 1 to 100, it was like a solid 85. That we got, after Stan Van Gundy's wife passed, and, he came back to Orlando for all of that and was with a lot of members and staff of the, 09 and 2010 teams. And, just talked about his time in Orlando, but we've never got the, like, it was my fault. I was young and immature and all that kind of stuff. This is sort of further hinting at that, saying that I didn't make a smart, logical decision. I just made an emotional decision at the time. It's not exactly coming out and saying that it was maybe not completely his fault, but mostly his fault. I don't know that we're ever going to get that. But what we've gotten, over the course of the last year plus is a lot more than I ever thought we were going to get. And the fact that he was at Game 3, like I felt like a kid again, like seeing Dwight Howard walk into that building. Game 6.
Was
that Game 6?
It was Game 6, yeah.
Why was I at Game? Yeah, so I guess I was at 2 home games.
You were at Game 3 and Game 6, yes. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
I don't think I was at Game 6. Was I?
Me and Luke all sat together at Game 6, brother.
31 years old, and the memory is already going on me.
You're cooked. No.
You didn't go to Game 3.
I went to all 3 games.
You did?
I sat right behind you for Game 3. You didn't go to Game 4.
I didn't go. I never said I went to Game 4.
I never said I went
to Game 4. I knew that I didn't go to Game 4.
I sat right behind you for Game 3.
You were at the watch party for Game 7. I was not at the watch party for Game 7.
That's right.
You were behind us for Game 3. We were all sitting together for Game 6.
That's right.
And so he walked in for Game 6. I thought it was Game 3.
Regardless,
Kevin. Regardless, Kevin. Okay?
That is hilarious.
Doesn't matter what game it was. He was there, and I felt like a child again. Seeing him in the building. So
when he walked into the room, it was just because if you remember, we were all 3 sitting together there at Kia Center.
I do remember that.
Okay, so when he walked in, we all just freaked out.
Yeah,
so it was just like that's Dwight.
Like he's crazy. Finally back. It was
finally back.
It was a release of trauma is right. The best way to put it. As crazy as that sounds to say about a children's game that we're watching grown men play, but
for me it was maybe the start of that. I wouldn't say it was a full breaking of that I don't want to say barrier, but whatever it was between him and the Magic and him and Magic fans, it certainly was a start. When it comes to the comments that he made on Gilbert Arenas' show, none of that surprises me. I knew that in 2012, right? Like all logically thinking Magic fans knew exactly what he just said. We knew that was an emotional decision. We knew that if he took time to step back, if he took time to get away maybe from some negative influences in his life, that he would see all that he had there in Orlando and not rush into a, as he said, emotional decision. Again, so at some level, it is nice to hear him come to the realization of that. And maybe he's had that realization for a long time. I don't know. But to at least verbalize it for the first time, that is nice. But it also just confirms what most Magic fans thought 12 years ago. Like we knew this. We knew this was exactly what was happening. So, you know, at the end of the day, it is nice that he's coming back around to these things and admitting these things. As for, you mentioned his apology for you, like the one back, you know, when Stan Van Gundy's wife passed away, you gave it 85. I give it like a 75. You know, I think fair. there's still more room for him to just straight up own up. In some ways, this topic here, this conversation with Gilbert Arenas does, where he says it was an emotional decision, but he still hasn't just come on out and said, I messed up. I messed this whole thing up. And maybe not the whole thing. Maybe that's a little bit extreme, but I shouldn't have, you know, pushed Stan out. I shouldn't have pushed for the trade. I shouldn't have gone back and forth when it comes to opting in. One of these days, I think it's going to happen. I used to think it wasn't going to happen, but one of these days, I think he's going to sit down and go, yep, I blew it. And I think it's going to happen someday.
See, I thought the same thing about Shaq, though. You know, like one day he'll just own up to the fact that, like, and just say, like, I wanted to leave. I wanted to be in LA and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And he still has never just totally been honest and forthcoming about the fact that, like, well, from day one, I really wanted to be in LA. I was happy to be in Orlando and made the most of the time that I had while I was there. But then the first opportunity that I had, I left. And yes, you know, the Magic lowballed him, all that kind of stuff. But the way that he acts, like that was the only reason that he left. And that's all just completely garbage. And I thought that eventually we would get that from Shaq. And at this point, I'm very confident to say that we will never really get that from him. It's crazy to say. I think Dwight Howard is probably a little bit more mature than Shaq at this point.
Maybe in some areas.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, Shaq actually, I mean, Dwight actually making the apology and has, you know, echoed these sentiments, you know, a few times over. It shows me that he is taking accountability to a certain extent, and to me, I feel like it's more than we've gotten from Shaq.
Dwight's got okay, maybe in this area of life he might be more mature. Dwight's got some other areas of his life he's got to grow up in. That's all I'm going to say. You know,
fair.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, fair.
I'm leaving it at that, by the way. I'm not going anywhere near that.
Well, hey, things have been dropped and dismissed and all that kind of stuff. You know, when it comes to Dwight, we don't really know. No one is ever really going to know, you know, what happened. But, you know, what a man does in his free time is his own business.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there. We don't have to go any further than that. But I do think eventually we might get that with Dwight, and I'm now looking forward to, obviously for other reasons, but the next playoff run to see him come back, and hopefully it becomes more of a regular thing. So it's not like, oh my gosh, Dwight's in the building. It's like, oh cool, Dwight's here again. Right. You know, and hopefully at some point he can be more of an ambassador for the team and the organization.
And I hope they don't have to pair him up with a different Magic legend in order to prevent an outbreak of booze or whatever, you know, as the theories were when they paired him up with Richard, you know, at Game 6. But yeah, we'll see.
You mean Game 3?
I meant Game 6.
I really hope. I know you're right, but like in an alternate universe, I really hope it ends up being Game 3, because that would just make that whole thing really awesome.
Yeah, it would have to be an alternate universe. You're right, because this one, it was Game 6.
You jerk. Okay. Paolo Banchero has been with the Jordan brand and with the likes of Zion Williamson, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum. I feel like there's one other person that I'm forgetting that has been a part of this, you know, like trip to China that brand has taken this summer. Who am I missing out of that lot?
You said Zion, Luka, and Jason Tatum, right?
That's the only 4. I felt like there were 5 for some reason.
I thought there was 4. I thought I remember seeing the pictures of the 3 of them, and Paolo was the 4th.
I do too, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm missing someone. You know, like when you pack for a trip and you know that you didn't forget anything, but you're on the plane and you still feel like you forgot something. That's the feeling that I'm getting right now.
Like you know it was game 3, but...
I didn't say that. I was confident. You corrected me. I know that my memory fails me sometimes. That's okay. But seeing Paolo with that group of guys and seeing him in that context and seeing the like Chinese fans' reactions and seeing the I'm air quoting here, the quote unquote unveiling of his new logo.
Yeah.
The logo that we've been seeing, I feel like for the better part of like a year plus. Maybe even more than that. I know we saw it a good amount during All-Star Weekend this past year when he took part in those festivities. I don't think we ever talked about the logo for like what it is, P5. It's awesome. I love it. And I'm looking forward to, 2-3 years from now when he eventually gets his own signature line, just like Zion and Luka and Jason Tatum have. But what are your takeaways from this trip? Like for me, it just puts Paolo in the proper context of like he's in the conversation with these other guys as superstars in the future of the league. That's to me the most important takeaway.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Part one, the fact that he is, yes, as you said, right there with these guys who are, Jason Tatum, one of the faces of the league, NBA champion, Luka Doncic, the first or second biggest international, maybe third. In whatever order, Giannis, Jokic, Luka, biggest international name in the game of basketball right now. Zion Williamson, say what you will about him on the court in the NBA, he's still an extremely well-known figure. And so to put him with those guys, and the flip side of that is everyone knows China is a huge market. China is a huge basketball market. That's why all these brands do these kind of publicity tours in China because it's just a huge opportunity. And so to see Paolo get to engage in a trip like this and get to engage with fans from, the other side of the world, and also knowing that is in turn going to, latch some of those fans onto the Magic now too, right? Like we've seen this time. It's the same thing that happened with Dwight. When Dwight was in Orlando, did a couple trips to China. One was for the Olympics in 2000. Did he play in 2000? Yeah, he played 2008 in Beijing. And then the Magic did Magic. I think I can't. My memory's bad too, Jonathan. He went to China a couple times.
They played Game 6 in China.
Okay, yeah. And Richard came out, and it was great.
And we were in China for that game.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So and we saw like Dwight gain like a serious following in China. Now, part of that was the dunk contest, obviously, that made Dwight a huge figure across, the NBA basketball universe. But the fact that Paolo was doing this at age 21 and he hasn't even really started his true ascension yet. Like he started it, but he's not even reached the heights that he's going to. I think it's really, really cool. And it's again a testament to him because Jordan Brand knows this. Like that, there's a reason why he's on this trip with 3 other guys that are proven big names. Because Jordan Brand knows. They know what they have in Paolo. They know what Paolo's going to be. And so to start that now at age 21 is pretty stinking cool. And it's been really cool to watch him on social media. Like he's genuinely loving this. Like his caption today was something like, it's an amazing what, I think he used an emoji, amazing what this basketball can do for you or can bring you in life or whatever it was, something like that. Really, really cool to see that. And so the first of many trips to foreign countries for sure.
October 18, 2007, Orlando versus Team China in China.
There you go.
Preseason.
There you go.
So your memory is better
Confirmed.
than mine, obviously.
Confirmed.
We didn't have to really hash that out, but now
right.
Everybody knows.
That's right.
Okay, now there's another podcast that I don't make a habit of listening to, but the takes from this show don't seem anywhere near as egregious as what comes from Gil's Arena. But Paul Pierce and KG's podcast, if you've been paying attention on social media over the course of last season, or we've talked about their podcast a few times when they brought up the Magic, but they were asked on a recent podcast, what team do they think is better this year out of the Magic, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Indiana Pacers? And they both pretty confidently said the Orlando Magic, talking about how they have this budding superstar in Paolo Banchero. And, KG even said he thinks that Paolo is the best out of the three players, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Halliburton. Said Donovan Mitchell obviously is really good, but Paolo is in like the superstar conversation. And then obviously talked about just how deep the Magic are and how they play together and all that kind of stuff. Kevin, what were your thoughts on the comments, but what are your thoughts on that idea that the Magic are the best team out of those three teams?
Yeah, I would find it hard to argue against that. Like, you could say, the Magic lost to the Cavs in the first round last season. Of course, that's true. That's totally fair and valid. And if you put them above the Magic for that reason, that's fine. But it was a 7-game series. Magic were up 18 in the first half of Game 7. And now you're taking all the Magic's core and adding a year, and you're adding Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to that. Meanwhile, the Cavs, they're not an old team, but they're not as young as the Magic. So adding another year to them, does that make them that much better? Maybe. I don't know. But I think the Magic have the better chance of making a bigger leap than the Cavs do, if that makes sense. And so I definitely think the Magic over the Cavs. When it comes to the Pacers, they lucked their way into an Eastern Conference Finals appearance last season. I don't think that in any way makes them better than the Magic. Now, the argument for them is they only got Pascal Siakam for a third of the season last year, whatever it was, after the trade, maybe half the season. And so what do they look like with a full off season with that team? What do they look like, a full regular season with that team? Maybe that could be an argument, but I wouldn't have an issue with putting the Magic above all those teams. But on the other part of this is, it is very cool to hear Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett talk about your team like this. Again, their opinions sometimes maybe not the best, but again, when it helps our propaganda, we're going to push it and endorse it. But again, the thing, I feel like I'm a broken record on this show, Jonathan. But like, the fact that people are talking about Powell like this and they never mention his age, like, I don't know if people just, if he's one of those guys that, they feel like he's been in the league a long time, he's this good and he's 25, blah blah blah. But no one talks about, these national outlets don't talk about it, that he's 21. That's the part I don't understand. Like, that should, for me, that's the first thing I mention when I talk to anyone about Powell. He's 21 years old. And so, anyway, I think
Donovan
it's cool.
Mitchell, 27, Tyrese Halliburton, 24 years old, by the way.
Yeah. Donovan Mitchell, that's, I don't want to say it's the tail end of prime, but it's getting close. So, Tyrese Halliburton, obviously, he's got a long way to go. Great player, but a streaky player. Tyrese Halliburton is the streakiest player of those three, for sure. Dude is capable of having amazing 20 and 18. He can do like a 20.18 assist night, and the next night he can have 7 and 2. He's super, super streaky. So anyway, very cool to hear KG and Paul Pierce talk about that, especially at the end of that comment where they mentioned the Celtics, which I thought was kind of fun.
They're like, they've given the Celtics more problems than any other team in the last couple of years. And when you sent me the clip, I was like, well, the Heat like literally beat them in a playoff series last year. So
yeah, well, not last year, 2 years ago, but yeah,
that's what. Whenever I say last year, I'm not referring like the season that we not just ended, but ended 4 months ago. To me, that feels like it was not that long ago. When I say last season, I mean the season prior to the one that ended.
Of course,
according to FanDuel, in terms of winning the NBA Eastern Conference, you have the Celtics at plus 145, the 76ers, at plus 450, the Knicks at plus 470, the Bucks at plus 500, the Magic at plus 2,000, the Cavs at plus 2,000. Then you have the Heat at plus 2,500 and the Pacers at plus 2,500. So Vegas would agree at least that the Magic are better than the Pacers and put them just right there with the Cavaliers. Last year, if that series is played on a neutral floor, I give the nod to the Magic. And if we were able to have a home court advantage in that series, I think we have that as well. And if you beat Charlotte or Houston late in the season, you do have home court advantage. But I think I'm right there. I don't really feel like Cleveland improved all that much this offseason. I feel like the Magic did in adding Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Indiana Pacers, I'm just not entirely sold on. I am not sold on Halliburton being this like superstar That's going to be a hot take. I know a lot of people, because you see like you said, the 20 plus point, 15 assist games, and you have these stretches where he's like borderline an MVP candidate. But then you just see, like we saw in the playoff series or the playoffs this past season, multiple times where he just comes out and has a complete dud. And for Paolo Banchero still being 3 years younger than Tyrese Haliburton, I just think of where Paolo's going to be at 24 years old. And to me, it's like one of the best 5 to 7 players in the league potentially. I don't think Tyrese Haliburton I don't think he has the kind of ceiling that Paolo does.
Yeah. I want to go back to the odds that you were sharing. Was it plus 500 for Milwaukee, and then Orlando was the very next team at plus 2,000?
Correct.
That's the gap? Wow.
Yes.
I'm not saying the Magic should be plus 500, but that gap of 500, 2,000 to 2,000, I mean, that's pretty significant. I'm surprised the odds makers didn't put Cleveland in between Milwaukee and Orlando, but it's pretty cool.
I think part of the gap is the fact that they have like the Magic, Cavs, Heat, Pacers, like all so tightly, bundled, is that like any of those 4 teams, might be able to come out of that. But then obviously some of those other teams are going to be favored a bit more. But
yeah, that's interesting.
I like that. If we're talking like you were to go into a series and Milwaukee was plus 500 and the Magic are plus 2,000, I'm slamming that all day with those types of odds. But obviously head to head, it wouldn't really be the same there.
Yeah, so I just appreciate, KG and Paul Pierce giving that. For some people, that's going to be a hot take. For the real ones that know ball, it's not going to be a hot take. But, a place that does do some hot stuff, Jonathan? It's a place called Jam Hot Chicken. It's a place in Winter Park. We're big fans of them. They're big fans of us. They're big fans of the Orlando Magic. Jam Hot Chicken. They bring Jam's culture and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park. It's a Nashville and LA-inspired hot chicken shack. It's locally owned and operated, and it is awesome, whether you're getting the Sando or my favorite, the box. It's good stuff. One thing we always like to tell people, if you've never been before, whatever you think your spice tolerance level is, bump it down one level, right? If you're like, I like hot food, bump it down to mild. Try the mild, and then see if you want to go up to hot, because everything's hot there. And of course, if you're not a spicy food person, this is something we get a lot. Not a spicy food person, go there and get no spice. The food is still amazing. That's what I get. Usually if we're heading to a Magic game and we're going to Jam Hot Chicken, I will get no spice first, because sometimes me and spicy foods, you know how it goes. And so if I'm going to be at Kia Center for the next 3 hours, I go with no spice. So definitely give them a try. Follow them at Jam Hot Chicken on all social media, and check out jamhotchickenfl.com to access the menu, online ordering, music playlists, and all things Jam Hot. And when you go to Jam Hot Chicken in Winter Park, definitely let them know that the Six Man Show sent you.
One thing that I don't think we talk about enough and doesn't get enough love at Jam Hot Chicken are their pickles.
They're special.
We mention them, but like they're legitimately the best pickles that I've ever had in my entire life. So maybe you don't even want to go there for the chicken. You just want to go and try the pickles. Like if you're a pickle, person, it's worth it.
And the slaw. A lot of people don't like slaw.
I don't like
slaw. They try their slaw.
It's good. Slaw is incredible. This episode is also brought to you by some very special folks. Donkey Punch Dave, Ray Pastrana, Richard Tuttle, Bueno Times, and Debo 1980. Kevin, who are these folks? These are some of our elite and Hall of Fame tier patrons that help financially support the show. Along with these folks, we have close to 100 other folks that financially support the show and help make each and every episode possible. So if you would like to join the Patreon, you can get access to our Discord community, access to monthly exclusive Zoom calls that we have with our patrons. You can find us at patreon.com/The Six Man Show. Kevin, one thing that we thought might be fun to do here is you had an idea from another podcast that you listen to that each year they do like a draft of players on the team, and throughout the season they'll sort of look back on the draft and see how their draft picks are doing. So each year I am in a couple of different fantasy basketball leagues where we do head-to-head what you call most categories, where you take different categories like points, rebounds, assists, so on and so forth. And for each category that you win in your head-to-head matchup on the week, you get a point. And whoever has won the most categories on the week will win that matchup. So usually the categories that we play by are points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, turnovers, 3-point makes, field goal percentage, and free throw percentage. So Kevin and I thought that it would be fun for us to draft. Now, the Magic's 2A spots are still open, so we don't have the full 15-man roster. Right now, we have 13, with Treble and Queen being on a 2A right now. So we are going to draft the other 12 Magic players at this point. And then periodically throughout the season, we'll look back and see whose team is performing better over the course of the last season. Kevin, anything that you want to add before I have I'm not going to say the name of my Apple device assistant here. I'll have that person, or
right,
that I don't even know what you would call that entity. Have them flip a coin, and we'll see who gets the first pick in this draft. But
we've never done anything like this before. I'm terrified. I think you're going to destroy me. I don't do fantasy sports anymore, so we'll see. But it'll be fun. We'll see.
I mean, if there's any team that
that's true.
It's going to be this one. So, All right, you want heads or tails?
Tails always.
Siri, flip a coin. You can't. Okay, it says heads. I don't know if you can read that.
Sure, it does.
It says heads.
I see
unfortunately, I didn't have my sound on, but it's heads. So I have the first pick. Oh, this is tough. This is going to be a tough one.
Oh boy.
I'll take Paolo Banchero first overall.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Fine. Talk me through that. Why?
I think it speaks for itself. Going to have a lot of volume, does a little bit of everything. He's going to get you some rebounds, get you some assists. I would hope and expect that the scoring efficiency goes up this year, but is just the best player on the team and is going to have the ball in his hands a ton and is going to see the floor a ton. So yeah, I think that's a no-brainer, Paolo Banchero.
I probably would have done the same thing if I had the first overall pick. So no complaints there.
So we're doing a snake draft. I should have said that. So right. Kevin's going to have the next two picks here.
I am.
So I'm going to be interested to see who your second pick is.
Yeah, my second pick. Yes. The second overall pick, though, is going to be Franz Wagner for sure. Obviously, everyone talks about the question marks about the 3-point shooting. Which 3-point percentage is one of our categories, right? Or no, 3-pointers made. It's 3-pointers made, right? Or which one?
3-pointers made.
Okay, 3-pointers made. So that'll be interesting. But obviously, he's going to be on the floor a ton. And every other category is going to be just fine, right? Points, rebounds, assists, free throw percentage, all those things. He's going to be just fine. The 3-pointers made will be the interesting one. And now, this is where it does get interesting, doesn't it? I am going to get a little bit controversial here, potentially. I'm going to roll the dice. I'm like going big or going home type thing. Health is an issue here. However, I need a big man at some point. And why not go with the starting big man here? Okay. Points is going to be interesting with Wendell this year.
Dang it.
Rebounds are going to be interesting with Wendell this year. But I'm banking on good health for Wendell Carter Jr. He actually talked about that earlier this week at his charity event for his, I forget what it's called, but it's basically getting young people involved in aviation, which is really cool. Talked about how it's part of his thing. Everyone knows he's been unhealthy. And so now it's time for him to have a healthy season. And so I'm going to take, with the third overall pick, Wendell Carter Jr.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. Obviously, when you're doing categories, you have to have a good mix of everything. And it is Flight 34 is the program that Wendell is putting together. I just looked that up. But now I'm sort of at the point of the draft where, because of the options that are available to me, I kind of have to go all in on a particular area. Okay. And since this is a snake draft right now, I also get 2 consecutive picks.
That's correct.
That is correct. So I'm going to go Jalen Suggs next. Obviously, going to see the floor a ton. I think he should have the ball in his hands more than anyone outside of Paolo and Franz. So the opportunity for scoring, and it seems like he's going to be the one facilitating the offense this year. So we should maybe see an uptick in assists, but that also is going to open him up to the opportunity for maybe some more turnovers as well. The 3-point makes. This is a tough choice for me between Jalen and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, because even though I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is going to be more efficient, I think there's a good chance that Jalen still sees more 3-point volume than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, just because he really knows his spots within the offense, and again is going to have the ball in his hands a bit more. And then obviously, we're going to get some steals. You're going to get some blocks from Jalen as well. And then, the free throw percentage is going to be pretty decent. And I'm hoping that the field goal percentage is as well. So next is going to be Jalen. And I talked how, it was a tough decision between Jalen and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I didn't really have to make a decision because that's where I'm going next. It's going to be Kentavious Caldwell-Pope because of the 3-point, makes that he's going to have, the steals as well. Should be relatively efficient, from behind the arc and with the field goal percentage, the free throw percentage, all of that. I almost thought about going somewhere else with this pick just because he is going to have somewhat of a limited offensive role, and that's going to limit what he can do in some of the other statistical categories. But because he's a starter and is going to be playing so much, and his durability, should be playing in a lot of games, for me, the next pick was going to be KCP.
Yep. I'll just go ahead and hand you the steals category for the year. With Jalen and KCP, yeah, and Paolo gets a couple, one every once in a while. For me, I feel like at this point, I'm going to have to go all in, kind of similar to you, when it comes to, some of the big man categories, right? I'm looking at two guys sitting there on the board. We're talking about, I'm banking on a healthy Wendell. I'm going to bank on a healthy Jonathan Isaac. So Jonathan Isaac is my next pick. Obviously, we got to see him. His per 36 numbers are through the roof in a lot of these categories. And so if we can get Jonathan Isaac healthy, hopefully, last year I think our goal for him was 65 games. And I think including the playoffs, he played 65 games, right? I'm pretty sure it was 58 plus 7, which is pretty cool. We've talked about this on the show. I feel like the minutes, it wasn't necessarily a restriction by the end of the year, but the limits that were put on him throughout most of the season last season, I hope and pray and believe that they are going to be gone. So I expect to see him in a lot of minutes. I expect to see him in a lot of games. I think there's a chance he plays back-to-backs this year. All those things give me JI with my next pick. After that, the question then becomes, do I lean towards the guard roles? Because I don't have a guard yet. Or do I just double down and go all in on things like rebounds and field goal percentage and those sorts of things? And I'm going all in with Mo Wagner here. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking Mo Wagner here.
This draft sucks.
This is a terrible draft. Hey, we play to win the game, okay? So I've got Franz, Wendell, J.I., and Mo. That's my squad right now. But yeah, Mo Wagner going to play the backup to Wendell this season, obviously. He's going to get you some threes from time to time, which is nice. He's going to get you some rebounds. He's never going to be a rim protector, so every once in a while he'll get a random block, and that'll be really exciting. But here's the thing. My turnovers are going to be down for this group compared to yours, so that's interesting. Rebounds will be up. But yeah, steals and three-pointers made and all that kind of stuff, you're pretty much taking that, which I think is going to continue with your next pick, but I'm curious to see who it is.
Yeah, my next pick is going to be Cole Anthony. Leaning into the points, the assists, free throw percentage, the 3-point makes, he'll help in that category. The field goal percentage may leave a little bit to be desired, but if he can get back into form of what we saw at the beginning of last season and the end of the 2022-2023 season, like the last 40 games there, if he can get right back around like 45%, for decent stretches, if not the entire season, I feel like he's going to be a big help there. He is going to help me a little bit in the rebound percentage, in the rebound area, right? Maybe isn't going to lead the team there, but it'll probably end up being like third or, maybe fourth in rebounds for the season for the team. And then next, I'm just going to go all in on the steals for this team, and I'm going to go Anthony Black.
Anthony Black, yeah.
So the way that I'm looking at it now is I'm hoping to beat you in points, 3-point makes, steals, free throw percentage. It feels like it's going to come down to the wire. I'm not going to be able to get you on rebounds. Blocks, it feels like might be a toss-up depending on what happens here. But we have both gone down these very different but specific paths, and I think I just have to continue down that lane. If I sort of veer away from that, I feel like I'm hurting myself. So far it's Paolo, Jalen, KCP, Cole, and then AB.
Okay, so that leaves, let's just review for everybody, the people that are left. Gary Harris, Caleb Houston, Jet Howard, Goga. Is that the 4 that I see in front of me? Does that look right? Tristan. Forgot about Tristan.
Missing someone. Yeah.
Tristan, of course. The new guy, of course.
Wait, we're missing a couple of here. well, I don't think anybody's going to draft Corey Joseph. I don't think we need to do that.
Yep.
But yeah, and Caleb Houston.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay,
Caleb in my list. Yeah,
we have Jet, Caleb, Tristan, Goga, Corey Joseph available.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's wild card time. Wait, you hear that, Jonathan? I just hear like the roaring of a jet engine. Give me Jet Howard. That's where I'm going. Rolling the dice here with Jet Howard. It just seems like he's a guy we've talked about on this show. If he gets a chance, if he gets an opportunity, there's a chance he can become a real spark plug off the bench, light it up for points. I don't know about anything else, but maybe just points for now, and that's fine. So give me Jet Howard, my next pick. After that, good grief. No offense, guys, but I'm gonna say I'm just gonna take Tristan just for the heck of it. So give me Tristan. I don't have a reason to back that up, but I'm gonna take Tristan.
So I feel like I was either going to go Jet or Tristan. I wasn't personally willing to go both because I feel like we'll see one of them in the lineup probably. I think it would be a little bit surprising if we saw both of them in the lineup. One person that I know we're not really going to see in the lineup a ton, but when he does, he may be able to help me make up some ground in some of the categories that I'm lacking.
Mm-hmm.
So next I'm going to go Goga Batadze. Bring Goga Batadze in. And then just to lean a little bit more into the strengths of my team, I will round it out here with Gary Harris.
Gary Harris, yeah, of course. Yep, figured that was coming. Gary Harris. I'm just checking off my my little spreadsheet here. So with my final pick, Jonathan, this is tough. Wait, let's see. So we actually we have 13 players on this list, not 12, right?
We should have 14, I think.
14, sorry. Okay, 14. Yeah, you're right. Wait, this isn't. I'm still
maybe there is there is 15, but basically you can make you'll take one of the last two that are on the main roster.
Right. Okay, that's what I'll make sure there was going to be one person left. Okay, we're good. Dude, this is
it's a tough one.
This is a tough one. All right, for those that aren't keeping track at home, it's down to Caleb Houston and Corey Joseph. The path. Let's talk about the paths for these guys. How do these guys see minutes? Corey Joseph sees minutes if Jalen Suggs is hurt or Cole Anthony is hurt or Anthony Black is hurt or some combination of maybe two of those.
Caleb Houston needs half the team to die.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, if somebody's not if let's say it's the second unit is AB, Cole, Gary Harris, J.I., Mo Wagner. If anybody is out, it's got to be Tristan or Jet. And then if a second person is out, it's got to be the other Tristan or Jet. If Caleb Houston is playing over Tristan or Jet, we've got real problems.
Okay, but Jonathan, he did last year. Half the team didn't have to die, and Caleb Houston played.
It can't happen again.
I know.
Jet Howard was the 11th pick in the draft. Tristan Da Silva looks awesome.
Yep. I'm just saying it did. All right, so I'm scared. But I'm gonna say I gotta pick Caleb Houston. Gotta take Caleb Houston here. So that's my pick, Caleb Houston.
Okay,
that rounds out the draft.
So
Corey Joseph is left on the bench at the playground. He gets to go play shoot around by himself while the other guys play. So sorry, Corey. But yeah,
what's your roster?
Yeah, I was going to go over the roster here. I've got Franz Wendell, J.I., Mo Wagner, Jet Howard, Tristan Da Silva, and Caleb Houston. And it looks like you've got Paolo, Jalen, KCP, Cole, Anthony Black, Goga, and Gary Harris.
Yes.
I like your roster.
I like your roster. It's very contrasting play styles.
For sure.
Right? Like if we're slowing it down, I am dead in the water.
True.
Right? But if we're playing like run and gun, get after it, take some risks defensively, and we're able to get out in transition, then I like my squad.
Right.
It's
gonna be
to me, I feel like I've probably already won the battle of 3-point makes and steals. I like my points a little bit better. But after that, when it comes to turnovers, I'm dead in the water. Blocks, rebounds, I'm dead in the water. Field goal percentage, I don't love that. And then free throw percentage feels like it's going to be a toss-up as well. So I feel like I have a really clear path to winning 3 of the categories. But, and I don't know that we even brought this up, but in most leagues that I've played in, at least ESPN leagues, if you're tied in categories, let's say like it's 4-4 and we, tie in another category, the tiebreaker is usually points scored. Probably not fair that I'm giving you that information after. Maybe we don't even do that. Good. Maybe we just find a different type of tiebreaker.
Rebounds, like total rebounds. Maybe.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'll be.
But hey,
if it's a tie, it's a tie.
Right. I put this in a spreadsheet. So based on last year's stats, I'm just going to go through some of these stats for us. Field goal percentage. I have 4 of the top 5. Not surprising
that for me. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got a bunch of big guys. Of course, the field goal percentage is going to be higher. Let's take a look at 3-pointers. You have the top 4.
Love that.
Jalen, KCP, Paolo, Gary. It's the top 4. I have the next 3, but yeah, you should.
And I added KCP.
What?
And I added KCP.
Right. That's what, I included KCP.
Oh, okay.
In this. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, these are all last year's stats for these guys. Let's look at free throw percentage here. Free throw percentage. Okay, that's going to be really tight. You're exactly right. Because you have the first, KCP. I have the second. You have the third. I have the fourth and the fifth. But then you have the next 3. So that is going to be super tight. Total rebounds. I hope this confirms what I'm.
Good grief.
Yeah. This is actually rebounds per game. But yeah, pretty much. You do have Paolo. And of course, Paolo led the team last season in rebounds per game. But then after that, it is all me.
What do you have? Like the next 6?
No, 4.
Okay.
Assists. Yeah, you've got that one. You have 4 of the first 5. And then a pretty clear drop off after that. Steals. Oh gosh, you got that one too by a pretty handy margin, which we expected. But blocks. Well, don't like that either. That's you. So let's take a look at the.
Gosh. How is that?
Blocks. Well, it's because Wendell Carter. No, just kidding. I do have JI, obviously, but you have Goga, and this is blocks per game. So I guess that's the other thing. If we're looking at total blocks, it's going to be different. Yeah, because after that, it's Goga, KCP, Jalen, and Paolo. So you have 4 of the first 5. Obviously, I have the first one, and then turnovers. Yeah, definitely. Again, this is turnovers per game, but yeah, I've got the first 3, and then you've got the next 4, and then lastly, points. Oh gosh, my spreadsheet is broken. I'm gonna have to do. There we go. Points. That's gonna be interesting. So you have Paolo, obviously, and then I've got Franz. Then you've got Jalen and Cole, but then I've got Wendell and Mo, and so I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting. I think it's pretty tight. This is actually pretty tight. It's gonna be very interesting. A little tighter than maybe I expected. I thought it might be a little one-sided, but it'll be something pretty fun to keep track of the rest of the season.
What do you want to wager on this?
Oh wow, why?
We have to have something right. Small.
I mean,
the loser has to buy the winner like a shirt of their choosing, like a Magic shirt of their choosing.
I was going to say jam hot chicken, but yeah, that too.
Oh, maybe both.
Yeah, a shirt and jam. Yeah,
perfect.
Let's do. Let's do. When we go to a playoff game next year, we'll go to the team shop. You can pick out I was about to say reasonably priced, but there's not a lot of reasonably priced stuff there. But yeah, we'll say like $40 or less, like a shirt.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Deal. Tax not included.
Sure. That's fine.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. All right. I think that's gonna do it for this one.
Yeah.
That was fun. I've got. Well, we'll have to. Hopefully, this is something fun that we can track throughout the year, and then we can do this each year before the season gets going and see how it goes. Maybe do this with your buddies and see how it goes. Would love to hear if other people are joining in on the fun and doing this with us. Yeah. Okay. Or just let us know who you think is going to win. Are you team Jonathan or team Kevin? And then we'll come back to this, a few months from now and see who got it right. All right. That's going to do it for this one. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to the 6-Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the 6th Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at 6th Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!